And that's the lovely thing about Pluck is like no new habit. Just we already season our food, just use this instead. And now you're getting the nutrients. And as you mentioned, I'm not here to tell you, that you have to make all your food from scratch, even though I believe you should, but I'm not going to tell you have to do it. Like if you want to use Pluck on your McDonald's takeout, go for it, because it's going to add nutrients to everything you add it to. So add it to anything.
Yeah, but don't. But yeah.
Yeah, but don't. But yeah.
Yeah. But so, what do you? Are you still carnivore then yourself, or do you live more of an omnivore type of nutrition now?
I'm definitely more carnivore than not. The way I pretty much eat is I definitely eat meat. I eat vegetables, but I stick to kind of less less cruciferous vegetables. So I'm trying not to do as much broccoli or kale, because there's more and more coming out that some of these things, due to the phytonutrients, are not, they're really not as good for our body as we've been told. So I'm kind of re-looking at the vegetables I do eat, but I definitely eat, like, salads and arugula and carrots and um, chard. I do eat some of that stuff, but my main, I definitely eat a lot of ancestral food. So like cultured vegetables, I definitely eat those. I love eating that, anything cultured. Um, yeah, and I would say meat, and then I just drink lots of water. And then I would almost say what's more important about my diet is what I don't eat. So what I don't do is I don't do sugar very often at all. Like we don't even bring it into the house. It's a treat. So for us to eat it, we have to go outside the house, and it's an event. And so by doing it that way, we don't eat it very often. We definitely we use Pluck all the time. So we're getting our organ meats. And admittedly, though, we do need to incorporate more organ meats into the diet, because I think Pluck, as I mentioned, is a great gateway. It's a great resource, but I want to encourage people to eat organs. So I don't want you to stop at Pluck. I want you to keep going. And I'd love to share some tips, actually, for anyone that is thinking, okay, I want to incorporate organs more into my diet. So I'd love to share some tips on how to do that, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Pluck is definitely a gateway. Okay, that's going to be the easiest transition to eating organ foods. The next, I would say, is you want to focus on ratios. So I recommend buying some beef liver. Now, when you buy beef liver, usually it's frozen. So when you get it frozen, keep it frozen. And what I recommend you starting with is just ground meat. So get your ground meat, whatever it is. It could be lamb, it could be chicken or turkey, it could be beef. And then I want you to pull out that beef liver and just grate it frozen. Grate the frozen beef liver into your ground meat, and focus on the ratio. So I've found that if you keep it within around a 15 to 20%, no one will know it's in there. Not a single person will know. It doesn't affect the flavor, it doesn't affect the texture, and yet you're getting the nutrients from the liver. So that's a great way, is just add it to your ground meat. And just start out slow. I always recommend people do it almost like you're transitioning the food of an animal. If you're transitioning the food, they recommend you do 5% first, and then build your way up. So 5% of new stuff and 95% of the old, and then titrate up. So that's the second step. And then when you kind of are getting that nutrient in, you want to be a little bit more, you want to be explored a little more. Then I recommend trying chicken hearts. And the why I recommend chicken hearts is because they're truly mild. They do not taste like organs. They're very mild. They take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking it with. And they're small, and you can chop them up and add them to a stir fry. And once again, no one will really know. You could add it with other meat. If anything, they'll just see the little bits, go, oh, what's this? And they'll just be curious, but they'll love the taste. So that's a nice once again, just gradually titrating up into getting more organs in. And then I would try tongue. Tongue is another great organ that a lot of people don't realize is closest to muscle meat. So the weirdest thing about the tongue is that it has a sheath around it, and it's kind of like a hairy, not hair like on our head, but like hair, almost like stubble or something like that. It's like that on the tongue. And so you just when you cook it no different than if you were braising any meat. So if you were making pulled pork, for example, just cook it just like that. And then when it comes out, you pull the sheath off of the tongue, and it shreds. What's underneath is this very tasty, shreddable meat, basically, and it shreds just like pork would. It's just delicious, and it's such a great thing on tacos, or it's just a great thing to use. And then from there, I would continue to explore other, you can start to actually put the organs in the meat. So now take the liver and actually cook it with onions like you do, or, make your kidney pies, actually, cut it up and put it in. But I think those are kind of the gradual ways of getting into your diet.